Just what is the weather like in Greenville, South Carolina? If you're considering moving to Greenville and don't know if you'll like the climate here, stay tuned. I'm going to dive into all 4 seasons. And yes, we have 4 seasons in the upstate of South Carolina. Living here almost all my life, I've been through everything that Mother Nature has thrown at Greenville in the last few decades. If you're considering a move, I would love to help you. Whether it's this year or next, reach out to me at 864-607-3537, and I'll help you get into your new perfect home. Subscribe for more weekly content, and if I've helped you move and you're still hanging around to see more videos, thank you. We'll cover the basics of the 4 seasons and cover natural disasters at the end. Let's start with my least favorite season, winter. Now, I'm going to ignore your calendar and the seasonal equinoxes and split up the year by the actual weather patterns. Winter in Greenville really kicks off in December and runs through January and February. Average daily highs will run between 53 in January to 55 and 57 in December and February, respectively. That is to say, winter will bring mild 50s as an average high and an average low in the mid-30s. There will be some swings with warmer days popping in to remind you what spring has in store, and some colder ones, which if you moved here from further north will remind you why you chose to come down south. Expect an average of about 10 hours of daylight during the December to February range here. Rainfall will be intermittent during the winter with an average of 3 to 4 inches per month. Now, big winter question, will you see snow? That will depend on the year. Some winters pass with little to no snow hitting the upstate of South Carolina, at least outside of the mountains. Average snowfall peaks in January with 0.7 inches of accumulation. Most snows in Greenville are light, but the city and county do not plan to battle snowstorms. So if there is snow on the ground, likely school and some work will be canceled. Most everyone in the area will be glued to WYFF4, the local news that the majority turn to for weather, watching for their school, church, or business to scroll by in the listings of closings announced for the next day. Stores will see people flocking in the day before to store up on bread, milk, and eggs. Good luck finding an explanation as to why. After all the hubbub, most of the snowfall in Greenville will be greeted with another high 40s, mid-50s day the next morning and disappear pretty quickly. Schools in the area plan for a couple snow days each year, with makeup days placed later in the calendar to replace any time missed if needed. There have been years when a day was added at the end since all were used, and days when kids were off on the snow days since no snow came to use them. Once in my lifetime, we got 12 inches of snow. I think this was 1988, I believe. I was out of school for the entire week and no one drove on my road until my dad went to work on day 5. Now that is much the exception to the normal Greenville weather. Let's move on to spring and put the green back in Greenville each year. Spring begins early in the upstate with unseasonably warm days possible anytime. By March, they will start to become more regular. Average highs will reach the mid-60s and lows will leave the freezing temps behind and averages in the mid-40s. You will start to see people sunbathing and maybe even a daring few open their pool for the year. By April and May, things are really warming up. April will have average highs in the mid-70s and May will just crack 80 and have 81 for an average high. Lows will be in the 50s and 60s. Spring begins with a hard pollen season for Greenville. One of the harshest areas in the country if you struggle with pollen, plan to start taking your allergy medication early and keep going till the summer. It's not uncommon to have a few days when cars and outside furniture turn yellow from the pollen. Allergies aside, spring weather is nice and pleasant in the upstate. Summer will begin by the end of May for Greenville and surrounding areas. Highs will be in the high 80s until September, peaking in July with an average high of 90 degrees. Expect July and August to have some occasional 100-degree days and not much respite in the evenings, with average lows staying at or above 70 degrees. Much of what will make the summer hot locally and in the south is the humidity. High humidity will be the norm, with the average rainfall for the area peaking in July, with an average of 5 inches of rain in the month. Greenville gets an average of 51 inches of rain a year, compared to 38 as a national average. Much of that will come from afternoon thunderstorms, a regular occurrence here in the south. If you're coming from somewhere that doesn't get much rain, your first few will likely be a shock with repeated lightning and loud thunder. Peak pool season will often be disrupted in the afternoon for 30-minute breaks each time thunder is heard. The consistent warm or hot days make it a great time to plan water activities or hiking in the mountains to cool down. Rent a boat and head to the lake or go tubing down the Green River and you'll really get a chance to cool off and relax. September will be the start of fall with an average high temperature still 82 degrees and feeling a lot like summer. October average high will be 73 and November will drop another 10 degrees to 63. It won't be until November when average lows will be below 50 degrees, so expect a mild fall in Greenville. During the fall, you'll have some occasionally very warm days. Just a few days ago, we had highs in the 80s this November. You may get some cold fronts pushing temperatures into the 40s, but as I mentioned before, don't expect winter weather until December for the upstate. Fall will bring gorgeous foliage, and many people will travel into the mountains to see the leaves change earlier and to start apple picking and fall festivals in the towns the hills are famous for holding annually. My family and extended family go to Maggie Valley every year and hit the Waynesville Apple Festival, sometimes even apple picking on the way home on Sunday. Now that's the 4 seasons in the Greenville area. Let's move on to exceptional weather or natural disasters. Greenville is a great place to live if you're worried about natural disasters. While we have some exposure, Greenville is less prone to most acts of God than much of the United States. A big concern people think of immediately is hurricanes. We are far enough from the coast that by the time a hurricane reaches the upstate, it has been reduced to a tropical storm, sometimes not even that. And while we get wind and rain, it is not the catastrophic kind that you see in the coastal regions hit by these massive storms. As you can see here, hurricanes account for 63% of storm events in the last few decades, but even these did not cause a general disaster and were confined to some limbs down, short-term limited power loss, and some flooding in flood-prone areas. Greenville and the surrounding area can experience flooding, both from hurricanes and from severe thunderstorms. It is important to make sure your home is not in a flood zone. Thunderstorms are also when we have the most risk of hail, and that can be an issue for the upstate. I see evidence of this a lot in real estate because occasionally a neighborhood will be hit by hail and most or all the homes will get new roofs at the same time. Hail is not a consistent threat in the area, but it does rank next to hurricanes and flooding as the most likely disaster you'll face living in the upstate. Earthquakes and fires are not a big concern in the Greenville area. While South Carolina does have some exposure to potential earthquakes, more of it is down near the coast, and even that is low compared to areas with high activity. Our fairly consistent monthly rainfall helps keep fire risk down. We do occasionally have higher risk days when the fire department will ask you not to have outside fires. Usually this is in late summer when heat is a contributing factor, but we don't have the significant risk of fire that many experience in the Southwest. The upstate does have some risk of tornadoes, and we do see them during storms sometimes. I personally have never seen a tornado in the Greenville area, but they do occur and are something to watch out for. We don't generally get the massive tornadoes that people experience in the Midwest, and I am thankful for that. We are considered to have almost no risk of volcanic activity, and I really didn't even think about mentioning it until I was researching this video to make sure I didn't miss out on anything. If you enjoy the great outdoors, the upstate of South Carolina can help you spend at least 9 months of the year outside enjoying Mother Nature. From tennis to hiking, from boating to golf, Greenville and the upstate of South Carolina are ready to welcome you to warmth, sunshine, and a mild winter. If you don't mind a little cold and occasional light snows, you can spend all year enjoying nature in Greenville. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel for more weekly content on living in Greenville, South Carolina.